I am your host, Carrie Scollon, giving us different perspectives on where we are and where we want to go on our journey. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to spending some time with you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of the FoundHer series. I am super excited this week. You all know that the mission of the FoundHer series is to bring to you incredible speakers with stories and tools so that you can live the life and create the life that you desire and that you completely deserve. Every one of us deserves the life that we desire. So I am pleased to start and to introduce my friend. Her name is Julie Scott. She goes by the title Self-Expansion Guide, which I absolutely resonate with, and I love it. She helps mature women to connect with their purpose, their power, and to see the possibilities, and really to be in love with life. So Julie, welcome. Welcome to the show. I am so happy that you're here. And our excitement and our energy level is always so high when we talk. So I'm happy that we get to share this with our viewers. So I'm going to jump right in and let us know a little bit about yourself and how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I think this is such a wonderful mission that you're on to bring this kind of quality content to the ladies. I think that I know that I found my own guides early on in my life to, get to me to where I am. Although I can't say I started early on in life. I kind of had a little bit of a wake up call when I was in my early 40s. I found myself in a marriage I was unhappy in, working at a job that I didn't really like, living in a city that I longed to leave. And I couldn't understand why I had this underlying level of anger pretty much at all times. It was like, I was just kind of not happy. And I'm like, and from the outside, everything looked really good. I had a good life. Yeah. And I think that's part of what kept me stuck for such a long time. I kept thinking, well, I should just be happy with what I have, like discounting my feelings and not not validating them and making them, important enough, or because I was always comparing myself. It's like, well, there's always somebody who has it worse than me.
Totally. I can totally relate to that. I think so many women can relate to that because I was this very same. It was in my 40s where I started to kind of take a look at like, hey, what is going on? It was, closer to my 50s where I dove right in because I felt the same way. Oh, I'm not grateful enough. I have a great life. How could I want more? But I always knew something was missing and I would push it down until I brought that to the surface. It was like, okay, now it's to the surface. Now I got to do something about it. And it was a question. Somebody asked me, what makes you happy? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
Right. So yeah. And I
step back and reevaluate. Right.
Well, I realized I'd never really asked myself that. In fact, I was caught up in the people pleaser, doing everything for everybody else because my value was attached to what I could do. Because if I couldn't do stuff for other people, then I wasn't in fact valuable or needed. Right. And so it was just this whole story that I was telling myself for decades. And it was me again, stuffing my feelings, just like you, those feelings that were bothering me. And I was stuffing them down, creating issues with myself physically, carrying weight in my belly and hips and butt, stuffing those emotions, and it was just weird how, I can look back now and see how everything was connected, but at the time I had no idea.
Yeah. When you're in the thick of it, right? You can't see through that. You just don't know why you're not feeling as energetic and joyful as we should. Or should probably is not the right word, but our birthright is to live a life of joy.
Yeah, exactly.
Choose that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that I got caught up in, well, if my husband just would X, Y, Z, and if my boss or my job would be XYZ, or if my stepchildren, or if whatever it was, I was always looking for answers outside of me.
Mhm.
Right. And, and having that destination thinking, it's like, I'll be happy when
Yeah.
all
You lose
these
5 pounds. Yeah. You lose 5 pounds. You go on,
right.
you have then
Or he
the car,
changes,
or he
or I
changes.
move, or I get the car or the house or whatever, the job,
So
and
what was your, so you came to understand, like, or take a look at it. And then what gave you the courage to make the changes? How did that happen?
first I have to say that I changed everything
Mm.
in my life, and I still felt the same.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, wait a minute,
Mm.
who's the common denominator here?
Yes.
That's when I realized, I'm like, maybe it's about me.
Right.
And that's when I started scouring the shelves of self-help books, of bookstores, and, getting the self-help books and starting to read a little bit at a time and start to piece together the puzzle. And, it was a process though. I mean, it took until I was in my late 40s. So I would say a good 6 or 8 years before I really had a true awakening. And I continue to awaken. Even now that I'm 56, it's like I'm still, learning and growing and waking up even more to my greatness, for lack of a better word. But
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it is a never-ending journey. I think it's taking that first step though that opens up a whole new world, really, when you start to dive into the inner journey, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you can get rid of the husband, you can find a new house, you can move to a new city, but all of that's going to follow you.
Yeah. Right. Because
So,
I'm carrying all that
right,
because I'm there still.
yes.
But I think one of the books though that I've recommended many times that I still have, in fact, here on my desk, I love it. Louise Hay.
Oh, yeah.
You Can Heal Your Life.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably I think it's probably the 10th copy that I've bought of this. I give it away.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first read this book, I wanted to shout from the mountaintops what I learned from this book. I mean, especially because she has a section in there, and I think this is important to talk about a little bit. She has mental problems, right? Or I'm sorry, physical problems and a probable cause that's a mental or thought process, right? And, I was just looking at the things that I was suffering with in my life, and it was spot on telling me what was really going on for me.
Yeah.
And I just think about, like, for example, I mean, I won't share mine because it's kind of, I want to keep it clean. But anyway, I had a client though that I was working with, and I reference this book a lot. And she had been on thyroid medication for years.
Yeah.
And she was a people pleaser, just like me. In fact, all of my clients are typically just me in my rearview mirror. We have so much in common, right? So her and I worked together for 6 months, and she recognized during the time that we worked together that she never really asked for what she wanted. She never said what was really true for her, because she was trying to manage the emotions of everyone around her and stuffing her own emotions. And what happens is when you're not speaking your truth, there's an energy center right here. And it affects, guess what? Your thyroid. And within the 6 months that we worked together, she got off her thyroid medication. I did not say anything to her about it. She shared that with me. And I was like, wow. I mean, that to me is proof. We always think that I think before I was in this work, I thought, you have your physical body and then you have your thoughts and feelings, and they're separate. Yeah. But they're not. And your body is constantly communicating with you. If you're getting headaches all the time, if you've got upset stomach all the time, if you've got a heart murmur, if whatever it is, it's like your body is communicating with you something connected to your your mental and emotional state.
Absolutely. The connection that I just made this morning when I was sharing that I was reading a book, the book I'm reading is The Untethered Soul, but that's exactly what it talks about. Our bodies, the language is usually through pain. Like I'm not thinking about my toe unless I stub it, and then my brain goes to that. But our mind is what it is running from. The language it's using is fear.
Yes.
That's the constant stories that's going on in our mind. So that's our language, and it's all connected. Yeah. Every single thing is, we can try and disconnect, but that's exactly what you get, a disconnection. Yeah. So when you're internal, you're external, all of that, it's all a work in progress. And sooner we can recognize that and know that we can do something about it. I think that's what I love about your work and just getting the message out there is we have choices. There are different ways of thinking about things. And that Louise Hay book, mine was, I'm not scared to admit it, but I have IBS.
Oh, I had diarrhea.
Yeah, great, lovely. I have to tell my friends about it because whenever I go somewhere, they've got to just know. So you know what, it's just something that I've lived with for years. But when I started to make the connection with it, it was like, oh yeah, I'm holding a lot of stuff in here. And then it was just like a weight lifted. But slowly, like just a little weight, like you shed it over time, right? But the book is just so helpful to it's a place to start. It's a great place to start.
And the thing is that, it's just information, right? And, and it's just an opportunity for you to get a little bit more curious. It's like, if the first time I read I'm just going to read it because I'm going to tell you about it. Because I'm going to read my own symptom. Diarrhea, because I had this badly after I left my husband. Fear, and here's the probable cause: fear, rejection, running off, running away. And that was like, when I read that, I was like, oh, that's exactly what I did. I ran away. I was running away. And it was just like, oh my God. But again, I think it's important just to kind of open up your focus to other information that may be helpful to you. Because I know for me, what I knew in the moment when I was feeling so crappy in my life, I didn't have the tools or the information or the knowledge to move myself forward. Right. And so I just went into this total seek out any information mode. And some of it I took what I needed and I left the rest behind, right? Whatever resonated, right? Whatever resonates. There's so much out there. Right. And there's so many different types of, people and books and, whether it's a video or an audio book or a, whatever, you have to seek out and find what resonates with you, because that's always a clue to what I think your true soul's desire is. Once you, feel that connection with someone like I felt with, and I also did work with a coach. I worked with a life coach, although I didn't even know what a life coach was. When I did that, right? It was just a friend, and I'll share this story. It's like I met this woman in Tulum. I was at a yoga retreat, because my first way of healing myself was to go through my body, because that was like my original connection. And once I made a connection with my body, it made the connection with other things easier for me, to get to my emotional and spiritual side, right? I went through my body, and that works for some people. So that's something to think about. But anyway, I met this woman on a yoga retreat, and her and I just became like acquaintances, like Facebook friends, right? And then she kind of disappeared for a while. And it's not like I was looking for her, because, I have my life, she has her life. And then she came back onto Facebook and she posted a few pictures of herself. And it's not that she lost any weight or changed her hair or anything, but she was radiant. I mean, she was just, that's the only word I could come up. I was like, she is radiant. And I was like, what's going on with her? I'm like, I feel like, when Harry met Sally, I want what she's having, whatever that is. I want that. And so I reached out to her and I was like, what is up with you? And she's like, well, I've kind of turned a corner in my life and I figured a lot of things out. And, she had become a life coach. And I'm like, what's that? For those of you who don't know what a life coach is, because I think it's important to make a distinction, it's not a therapist.
Yes,
a therapist typically works with your past. And I'm not saying that therapy isn't valuable, because it absolutely is.
For sure.
However, if you feel stuck in life and you want to move forward towards a new life, then a coach is going to help you reach those goals by holding you accountable, and guiding you forward. Yeah. And I worked with her for 3 months and I made light speed changes in my life.
I think that's an important piece, because for me, I've done years of trying to do this on my own, bits and pieces, a book here, a podcast, a webinar. But when and that's what I was trying to do that's what I'm offering, is I'm trying to get you there quicker.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save you some of those years where I can give you the information, take what you want, leave what you don't, because my journey is not going to be the same as yours. Right. And I love how somebody worded it, the life coach, we're just pieces to a puzzle that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Right? You're the beautiful creation of it. But I'm not going to be able to offer you everything, but you and I might have a different piece of the puzzle that we can offer you, and you may get a piece from something else, so it's a way to get you where you want to go quicker, in my opinion, with people who have done the work and trying to save you time.
Yeah. And I also think it's something more I think it's also more about when you invest money into you, and I'm not talking about a new hairdo or a new purse, although we spend lots of money on those things. Okay. Yeah. It's like if you do invest that money in you, I know there's a block around that because so many women don't feel that they're worth it. Yeah. Even though they don't know it. Yeah. It's like they struggle with that investment part of it because they're, but at the same time, you think about it, if you go to a gym and you pay to work out with the trainer, guess what? You show up. You do the work. Yeah. And you get results. It's the same. Yeah. Right. And so I'm always working with a coach because I believe in the process. And I feel like I feel like I could live easily another 40 years. Yeah. And I'm just going to be like, I'm just, I just want to see what I can do. There's like nothing holding me back now. It's like,
well, and I think I know. And I think in this stage of our lives, which a lot of us are the women watching, we're all in that stage where I'm like, this could be the best time of my life. Yeah. I don't believe that the best times are behind me. No. I think the best times are always yet to come. And we need to take an active part in that. There is action required, right? And what we talked about earlier was coming up with what we actually want is some of the hardest things for people. And it's not that I truly believe we do know what we want. And I was one of those people that when I started this, it was like, what do I want? No, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I can't figure it out. No, there's somewhere inside of you, you know what it is. The scary part is admitting it. Yeah. Because once you admit it, okay. Now I know. Now I got to do something about it.
Or not.
Process. Yeah. Or not.
Right. Well, that's the thing though. But I think that the valuable part of getting to figuring out what it is that you want is just getting to the truth and being honest with yourself, because there's nothing more soul crushing or soul damaging than you denying yourself of your own truth and lying to yourself. And and only second to that, even not as bad, but second to that is not keeping promises to yourself. Right. So both is better. But to your point about knowing what you want, and we talked about this before, it's like, It is scary to know what you want because, again, I had another client that I was working with, and I was just trying to help her get to her truth. What is true for you? I mean, she was struggling with so many different things in her life, and I remember during one of our sessions, I'd encourage her to start a sentence with, "Well, the truth is, the truth is, the truth is," and she's like, "The truth is, I really don't want to be married," and then she went, and then she just. And then she got really scared. And I go, look, you don't have to do anything with that information. And there's so many different ways that can go, right? You can tackle that from a lot of different directions. You can try and work on it. You can go to therapy, you can go to, work with him or whatever it is.
Yes.
But at least you said it.
Yeah.
And she
got
said,
it out of you.
Yeah. And she just kind of let go of all that tension she was holding around that secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
eats up. That stuff eats up from the inside.
Right.
That's when
just as an update, she's still with her husband and their marriage has definitely improved, but just coming to terms with the fact that you're unhappy.
Yeah.
And
to be able to admit that to yourself. Finally.
Yeah. Exactly. So powerful.
It is. It is scary, but all I can say is that it's worth it.
Yes.
You're living your truth, your authentic truth. There's nothing that can harm you once you admit it, right? Not harm's not the right word, but that fear subsides a bit when you can just recognize it for what it is, and if you choose to do something or not, but at least you've admitted it to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I love when we talked about, you may not know what it is. I believe you do when you get down to the root, but in the meantime, if you're trying to figure that out, the clarity around that is, if you don't know what you want, then recognize what you don't want.
Yeah.
If you still can't recognize what you don't want, focus on how you want to feel.
Yeah.
That's what I work with a lot of the women that I speak to is, how do you want to feel? That's going to start giving you some clues as to what you really are desiring. And the other piece I want to put in there is I truly believe that we are not given desires if they cannot manifest.
Yeah, absolutely. They're meant for you if you have a desire.
Absolutely. It's come to you, and it is absolutely a possibility. So you talk about the power and the possibility and the freedom from that.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I love when I'm talking to anyone about what do you want? What do you want? Even to myself, it's like, well, if you did know, what would it be? And somehow that something comes out from that. It's just kind of a playful way to say, well, what if I did know?
Yeah.
What would it be? Then you can start jotting down things, maybe you come up with something that way.
And the other process that I love is that we've forgotten how to dream. We've put those dreams aside, we pushed them down. And when we were kids, we dreamt all the time.
Yeah.
Bringing that fun and playful aspect back to start to dream again. And that's when you're going to also start to see what it is that you want to start creating. So for you, I want to make sure that they know that you have written a book.
Oh, yeah.
Called This Time It's About You.
Oh, yeah. Here.
Yep. Love it. This time it's about you. It's all about you. Like, come on. We're okay with that. We're allowed to be about us. And you can get that on Amazon, right?
You can.
Okay.
Or you can get it through my website. If you want a signed copy, I still have a few books left that I could sign. And then you also get a special, what is it called? Bookmark, a custom bookmark that goes with it as well. But I will sign it to you, or it makes it a great gift if you want to do that too. So just throwing it out there.
And that's at your website, Julie, at itsaboutttimebaby.com.
Yeah, right? It's aboutttimebaby.com.
Oh, not the Julie. Sorry, that's my email. Right? It's aboutttimebaby.com. Aboutttimebaby.com. I love that. It is about time that we started doing.
It is about time. Let's go.
Yes. So I know that you also talked about you have something about how to put the spark back in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
So,
I have a little free guide that I put together because so many women that join my Facebook group, which I named it after my book, it's Women Over 50. This time it's about you.
yes.
It's time. This time it's about you. It's the name of my Facebook group. And so many women that come into the group just feel so blah. They don't feel like they have any excitement for life. They're just kind of like Groundhog Day. Every day is Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
And, they don't, again, to what we were just talking about, they don't know what they want. They don't know what they don't want. They just know that they're just stuck.
Yeah.
And I put together just a really a quick, easy guide, just 7 steps to, just get out of your ho-hum life, just ideas to kind of light that spark again. Because the thing is that once you reignite that flame, and I feel it's always in my belly, right at the top of my belly. It's like, once you reignite that flame, then all of a sudden you also just kind of open up your creativity again, and you just start seeing things differently. I mean, because if you're stuck in that place of my life sucks, I'm bored, is this all there is? Then if you're coming from that, that's all you see. Exactly. So you need to be able to think different thoughts so that your subconscious, frankly, will allow you to see something that's right here, that's been there the whole time, but you can't see it because your blinders are on because my life sucks. My life sucks. My life sucks. It's like, my life doesn't suck. Oh,
exactly. And that is probably the first simple step.
Yeah.
Is just to start opening your mind, because once you do that, and when we become aware that all those thoughts that we're having are not necessarily true, which I talk a lot about,
yes,
all of a sudden opportunities open up for you. Things open up for you. Things that, like you said, were right in front of us all along, but we were not open to seeing them. So the world becomes so much larger when we get out of. Yes, the self-expansion. Exactly that. And that is a beautiful, awesome, energetic place to be when you're coming from that place. And then you're all of a sudden seeing that there's so much beauty around you. And I love what you said about seeing the greatness. That I believe that is my gift, is seeing the greatness in other women, in other people. I see your greatness. I see the beauty. And I wasn't able to do that until I saw it in myself.
Yes.
And that was a really hard thing to admit. But once I got comfortable with that, it was amazing what opened up and what I could see in other women. Like every single one of us has that.
Right. Absolutely.
It's such a beautiful place to be.
And we're taught to be, I know I was taught to be modest.
Yes.
You don't want to be conceited. Self-centered,
don't
have
brag.
a big head, quit bragging, right? It's just like, but the thing is that one thing I've learned through my journey is that I must toot my own horn.
Yeah.
Because I'm responsible for me.
That's right. And we're the validation that we need from ourselves. Yeah. We can't be always seeking that from other people. We've got to give that to ourselves. It's a really hard thing to do. But once you start practicing it, all of this stuff starts just to become easy. And then what happens is you're actually being that person, which is, in my opinion, my goal is to be that person that I'm creating.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I know we've only got a couple minutes left before we stop recording, but I just have to share something really quick. It's like where I put my clothes on in my hallway, I have mirrors, and right where I stand to put my underpants on, there's a mirror, full length mirror right there. And I'm obviously naked, and and I look over there and I look at myself, and then that voice is like, looking at me up and down. And then I'm just like, you're beautiful. I love you. And I say it out loud because I just have to keep pulling myself back to love. Yes. It's like, and it feels so much better, but those records are on repeat, and they do get quieter, and you do catch yourself faster. So I just wanted to throw that in there because it just came to mind.
And I love that. And I think for me, that's the root of absolutely everything, is coming from that place of love. for
100%.
ourselves and for others. So I'm going
Absolutely.
to end that there because I think that's a beautiful spot.
Yes.
And again, we need a part 2 of this. So hopefully you will stay around for the next 30 minutes and have more conversations with Julie and I, which we're looking forward to. And in the meantime, next week, I'm going to be on here and I'm going to be talking about freedom and what that means to us, what success means to us, because everybody has a different version of that. And until then, I hope you all know that you are more than enough as is. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.